Got a lot to talk about today, from Tyreek Hill's comments after taking a hot minute, from Terron Armstead's comments, and from Dan Marino's comments. We got a lot to talk about today, so let's jump into it. What is up, Fin fans? 3 different people we're talking this week, because today's the weekend, tomorrow's the Super Bowl, during Radio Row. And essentially that's where all these players, not just Eagles and Chiefs players, but all these players were there. And we had a few Dolphins there. Chop Robinson was there. He was there because of the award ceremony. He was up for nomination for Defensive Rookie of the Year. He did not win, even though he was like 5th. He came in 5th, even though he had the best pressure, sacks. Like, he was up there, not one, if not one, number 2 in so many different categories, but he finished 5th. So I found that interesting. But Tyreek Hill was there. He was asked, obviously, about the comments. He was asked about, does he want to stay, this, and that. Terron Armstead was there. He kind of talked about his future with the Dolphins, as well as talked about the comment that Tyreek Hill made, and Dan Marino was there when they asked him about the future of the team and all that stuff. So we're going to talk about it all. We're going to talk about it all. But first, I have to shout out today's sponsor, and that is Clean the World. I talk about Clean the World. I talk about Sean Seipler, great company that repurposes soap from hotels that normally gets thrown out. They take it, they clean it, they repurpose it, then they put these kits together, and they go out and they give it to people of need, whether third world countries, natural disasters, or the homeless. And the fact that they go out and they do these things, and they are very people first and people forward, is just a great thing to see. Also, over the last 15 years, they have sent 88 million, one more time with that, 88 million bars of free soap to children and families and mothers across the United States and to 127 countries across the globe. They do some fantastic work. Please check them out. Link is in the description, cleantheworld.org. Love them. Sean, my man, love you. So let's get into this mama jam. I think first we will start with Dan Marino. Let's start with a little Dan Marino audio, a little him sitting down. First, this is him sitting down with Pat McAfee. Let's see what he had to say.
Will they ever be able to win in Miami? Legit. 2 main distractions in Miami?
Yeah, no, it's not the distractions. It's just, we'll get there. We'll get there.
What about the narrative of that they can't win in the cold? As a guy who grew up in Pittsburgh and lived in Pittsburgh, how much of that actually plays in when it's like, you've been in Miami for a long time? Because, they have to play in New England late in the season and, in New York. Like, Is that a thing, or is that mostly just a media-driven narrative?
I think it is a narrative that's there because you got to change the narrative if you want someone to stop talking about it, and we haven't done that really. Even when I played, we'd always try to get home field advantage, and so you don't have to go to Buffalo, or you don't have to go to Pittsburgh or Kansas City when it's below 0, because we're not used to playing in that stuff, But so that's the narrative, is that we got to win more games and get home field advantage.
The team that kind of killed that narrative was the Los Angeles Rams. Now they didn't kill it because they didn't win, but seeing how they played in Philly in a snowstorm, coming from a dome team on the West Coast, makes it like, okay, they need to really get their stuff together. But also, you look at Tampa Bay, you look at Jacksonville, you look at all these teams that are either dome teams or warm weather teams, they'll struggle in this weather, and that's why you play to win the games low, because at the end of the season, you want that home field advantage. You want to play at home because different areas have that different home field advantage, and the Miami Dolphins home field advantage has been taken away from them because teams are butthurt over the fact of playing in the heat, but other teams get their home field advantage with having get home games at the end of the year in the cold. So it's like it's a double-edged sword. So you want to, like you said, you want to kill that narrative. What else does Marino have to say?
You know what, I thought we had a very good football team this year until we start getting injuries, especially at the end of the year. And look, Tua is our quarterback. He's going to be our quarterback, but we need to find a way to just keep him healthy, especially at the end of the year when you have to win games to get into playoffs and to maybe get home field advantage or just win playoff games. And so that's I think really where the focus is going to be.
Tua's thing came out of nowhere there.
Yeah,
right at the end, we just saw him come out of nowhere. Is that? How do we? You probably know a lot more than us. Yeah, you guys were in it.
Yeah.
Lurking.
Yep.
Then he's no longer playing out of nowhere, and he finishes the season not playing. Actually, had sunglasses on one at the time.
Yeah, hanging.
He looks so
but
cool.
he had like a hip pointer.
Okay, so it
and it's just as far as throwing. I mean, he'll be good in the future, but like for those 2-3 weeks, he was struggling with that.
Feels like you're around the team a lot, right?
Enough, yeah. I'm around.
You trying to get a little Pittsburgh in him, though, Dan?
Yeah. Well, great.
They're saying team's soft.
That's
what they're saying. Team's soft.
Can't play in the cold.
They're saying they're soft, Dan.
Yeah, the Yinzers. We need more Yinzers.
Amen. Man, listen, you never lie.
Yeah, it's the thing with Tua, and it's the thing I said when I was talking about prospects and when we drafted him and all that stuff. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he's above average. I am going to do a quarterback ranking for the 2024 season, and I'm going to just rank off of the 2024 season. I'm not ranking off their career, just how they did in the 2024 season, and his injury is a problem. And if you know your injuries are a problem, you need to take care of yourself. Tom Brady, I talked about this, I think, in the last video with the Super Bowl predictions, but Tom Brady talked about how you shouldn't rely on the refs to protect you. And it's plain and simple because not all the refs are going to call penalties the same. And that's case in point. He should have slid against Houston. He didn't slide against Houston. He took 2 tackles, one of them to the hip. Continued playing the game. The next week, he stayed in the pocket, took a hit from Joey Bosa, laid a dot on Tyreek Hill, who dropped it, injured the hip, was out for the next 2 weeks. So it's like you have to be aware that I cannot stay healthy, and these hits are, if I take a hit a certain way, I'm going to be injured. You need to do better. You have to do better. Now, this is Marino sitting with Pro Football Talk.
I really think, because of our the injuries and things that happened this year, we never got to that point where you could get that edge and you feel like you're confident enough to win, to win playoff games, and we didn't. And then Tua got hurt. And
it's a narrative, man.
To be honest, I mean, if he's not playing, our chances of winning go way down.
Yeah.
So, we just got to find a way to keep people healthy and to continue to grow as a team. And the edge, let's. We all need an edge sometimes, especially in football game.
Right.
Really,
that's a talking point. That's a talking point with the team, and that's a talking point with Tua, because the team didn't stay healthy. Whether it was Terron Armstead getting banged up, Austin Jackson getting hurt, Kendall Lamb getting hurt, Jalen Phillips getting hurt, Javon Holland getting hurt, Jordan Poyer getting hurt, Sealer with his orbital socket, Fuller with his concussions. It's just one after another getting hurt. Just, you have Tyreek Hill with the wrist. You have Tua with the concussion and then with the hip. You have Jalen Waddle with his injuries. You had Devon Achane with his concussions. Someone's got to stay healthy on this team. It's a problem.
You know what?
Help him out.
I'm around. We talk a lot and all that, and sometimes
talk about his relationship with Tua.
Now and then, this past year, maybe not as much, but I am around them a lot.
Yeah. What about
the whole team? I'm around. You know what?
Help him out.
I'm around. We.
Essentially, he said this past year maybe not as much, but I am around. I've watched film with him every now and then. He likes Tua. The Dolphin organization likes Tua. But if you can't stay on the best ability is availability. If you haven't heard that, you just did. He has to be on the field because we have a winning record when he's our quarterback. He's just not on the field. Then we have a little news and notes from Terron Armstead. So Terron Armstead met with David Berman of Pro Football Network, and talked a little bit. And he said, this is from Alan Poupart. He said, one of the biggest question marks around the Miami Dolphins this offseason will be what happens with Terron Armstead. There are several possibilities as to the outcome. Armstead returns for a fourth season with the Dolphins on his current contract. He returns on a restructured deal to lower his cap hit for 2025, or the Dolphins release him, or he retires. Enjoying the Super Bowl atmosphere in his longtime NFL home of New Orleans, Armstead sure sounded like someone who's looking forward to helping the Dolphins get back to the Dolphins, after his disappointment of the 2024 season. And this is from Armstead. In order for us to move forward in the right direction, there's going to have to be some more retooling and refocusing and really locking in on some small things. Notice how he uses the phrase for us to move forward. So it sounds like Terron Armstead isn't going to retire. Armstead said last June, after agreeing to a pay cut to return to the Dolphins, that he has contemplated retirement the past few off seasons. The reason being his constant battle with injuries, which has prevented him from playing a full season, even once since he entered the NFL as the third-round pick for the Saints in 2013. Wow, he was a third-round pick? That's a steal of a pick. Armstead wound up playing 15 games in 2014, missing one with a concussion early and one with a knee injury later in the season. He barely practiced down the stretch, tough because of the knee injury, which also caused him to pull himself out of a couple games. A month later, Armstead said he feels good. This is from Armstead. Feels great, man, he told PFN. I'm really enjoying it right now, enjoying the time with the kids and all those great things. I'll be talking to the Dolphins front office pretty soon to figure out the direction and the path they're looking to go, but feel great. Now, with his contract situation, and I'll look that up so we can kind of talk about it, because it doesn't seem like he is going to retire or he has any want, need, or desire to retire. And again, that could change as time goes on and if he starts to feel, any type of pain or discomfort. Terron Armstead, if they decide to just release him now, it's only a $4.26 million cap savings if they release him or trade him. And if they do it after June 1st, it's almost a $15 million cap savings. So they could do it as a post June 1st and use that money for potential free agents that are still out there. And we have seen, especially last season, there are still really good free agents out there after the draft. There's that big wave at the beginning of the season, and then towards after the draft when you couldn't get who you wanted to, like Simmons was out there, Jeffrey Simmons was out there, we got Calais Campbell, there were still really good players out there. I think Bobby Wagner was out there still, that there's a ton of safeties that we could get post June 1st, and we could get a lot of money if we make it a post June 1st cut. But again, that's the decision the Dolphins have to make is, are we bringing him back? Does he want to take another pay cut? Because I think it was like $25 million, and we have Patrick Paul sitting in the wings to, be thrusted out there. And all right, man, you got a little taste of it last season. Now it's your time to be the starter. Alan Poupart says the Armstead dilemma for the Dolphins. Injuries and all, Armstead remains the best offensive tackle on the roster, even though he failed to make the Pro Bowl in 2024 for the first time in his 3 seasons in Miami. His cap number for 2025 is at $22 million, which is pretty large for a player his age and injury history. And then they have Patrick Paul, which I talked about. The question for the Dolphins will come down to how much are they willing to dedicate to the position if it's going to be Armstead. Armstead has a 13.3. I think he essentially talks about what I talked about when it comes to the cutting. It was a frustrating year, Armstead said. Disappointed, honestly, if I can just sum it up. We lose our quarterback early. It was just really hard to find points, and we tried to right the ship. I'm super grateful for the Dolphins for that part. You know what I mean. We really stretched and clawed to get back and give ourselves a chance to make the playoffs. Unfortunately, we fell short, dealing with more injuries, so it was disappointment overall. And 100%, you got to give the locker room that credit, because they didn't give up, going from 2-6 all the way to 6-2, and then unfortunately, losing and not making the playoffs is a thing that really sucks. But and I'm going to talk about this again after tomorrow. That's when the offseason really starts, and I start to look at who to cut, who to resign, how to restructure things to get cap space and free agent targets and this and that. Like, I got a ton planned for you guys. It's a situation with Terron Armstead we really have to sit down and talk about. Let's talk about what the title of the video is, and that is Tyreek Hill. As we suspected all along, Tyreek was talking out of frustration when he made his infamous "I'm out" comments after the Dolphins season finale. But the wide receiver for the first time, has publicly expressed regret for his rant. He said, "I could have handled the situation better by instead of saying I'm out, I could have obviously handled it better." Hill said during an appearance with Up and Out with Kay Adams. And I wish I did, but in the heat of the moment, I just said whatever I had to say. And I'm taking full accountability of that because I want to win. I'm saying we want to win, and I'm sure the fans want to win, but a lot of things, I feel a lot of things need to be said sometimes, man. So it's tough right now. So again, it's the whole thing about the frustration. Hill also made it clear he wanted to return to the Dolphins for a 4th season in 2025, despite his infamous "I'm out" rant followed by the Dolphins' loss to the Jets. "I don't want to go nowhere," Hill said. "I love it. My family loves it. Kids absolutely love it on the beach every morning. So it's an amazing thing. We are really building something special in Miami. We made it to the playoffs the first 2 years. Obviously, this year was hard. But if guys continue to buy into what coaches are building and the culture that they are trying to build, it's going to be a beautiful thing." Tyreek Hill says he wants to show his teammates. His comments come after teammate Terron Armstead criticized him for his outburst and suggested he had some mending to do with his teammates. "Well, for me, I love the guys. I love to show the guys my hard work and my appreciation to them, but just going to practice every day, busting my tail, showing up to meetings on time." Notice how he said that? Showing up to meetings on time. "Just doing everything right, the right way, the exact way a pro is supposed to be. Doing stuff where a number one player is supposed to be, which is being on time." Said it twice. He said being on time twice. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? Being very coachable, being very attentive in the meetings and stuff like that. So I think that's the biggest thing I can offer to my teammates, and just being that kind of leader, like what I've been my whole career. So this year, man, I'm holding myself to that kind of standard. So I want to be the best. And that's kind of what has helped me stay in the league and be successful in the league, like just by doing the right things. So I want to continue doing that. I don't want to fall off like who I am or like who my parents raised me to be. I want to continue being that guy. Very interesting. After he told Adams he was issuing a public apology to quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, he was asked whether he wanted to say he was sorry to the entire team. He said, "Oh God, yeah. But I mean, they already know that. They know I'm not that kind of player. A lot of people may say, oh, Reek is a hothead. He is this, he is that. But all my teammates know, like, I come to work every day. I bust my tail. I show up to meetings on time. I do what I got to do." He said it 3 times. And this is what Terron Armstead had to say. Tyreek is explosive, man, and the word, and that word is a lot of different areas, but he is. He's explosive. He's dynamic. He's a competitor, the ultimate competitor. And that's what I love about him the most. Like, he wants to win. He really wants to win. So when he doesn't, it bothers him to the depths of his core. You know what I mean. And I know the words he said after our last game and all those things, and I can't excuse him for it. But as a captain, as a leader, you can't do that. You know what I mean? So he has some mending to do with some relationships and just getting that energy back to where it needs to be. So essentially he said, hey, what I told you guys. He should have took a beat. He should have waited. He shouldn't have came out. He shouldn't have said what he had to say, and he should have then talked. Now, do I think he's going to be traded? I think it's going to be hard to trade him, and I've talked about it ad nauseum, and I will continue to talk about it when I look at the cap space, because unless you do it post June 1st, you ain't saving any money. So it's hard to trade him. It could be a post June 1st. Hey, this team didn't get the number one receiver they wanted to because another team traded in front of them, and now you have a possibility of getting a first for 2026 or a second for 2026 or whatever, and you can clear cap space. That's a possibility. But I will say this. His apology sounds sincere. Maybe he did learn from it, whatever. I heard the same thing from Stephon Diggs before he was traded to the Houston Texans. Not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm not going to sit here and say he's not going anywhere. He's going to be a Dolphin, this and that. Because, again, at the end of the day, I'm not here to sell you false hope and then something else happens and you're like, what the hell? I was expecting him to be here. Now he's gone. So take it as we'll see what happens. If it doesn't happen before the draft, it doesn't mean it's not going to happen because, again, they could save more money if it's a post June 1st, whereas if they trade him before the draft, it's like $400,000. So it's still a possibility, but he needs, like Terron Armstead said, he needs to kind of talk to some of his teammates because they busted their hump and they stayed in that game. And it's like it resonates in my head. Jalen Waddle saying, Reek, you done? In that video, and I think it was like the end of the third quarter. It's like, it's not a good look, man. And the fact that it's on tape and it's out there and everyone's seeing you being frustrated and, you know, if that was your mentality, man, you should have just got the wrist surgery. And you should have been like, look, I need to take care of myself. I need to take care of number one, yada, yada, blah, 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 because at the end of the day, that's what he did. So we'll see what happens. Comment below. What's your thoughts on what Marino had to say, what Terron Armstead had to say, and what Tyreek Hill had to say? Tomorrow is the Super Bowl. If you haven't, go check out my pick video, which was yesterday about the Super Bowl. Going to be an interesting one. And then starting Monday, we are talking cap space. We are talking cut re-signs. We are talking free agent targets. We are talking all stuff free agents because come Monday, the 10th, we are a little over a month until free agency starts. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. But I'll see you guys on Monday unless breaking news happens, and I'll see you tomorrow. I'm not live streaming the Super Bowl. I'm just going to kind of relax. It's an 8:30 game. And I did all the playoff games and no one was there. I had like 200 people in my streams, which is amazing. I love everyone for hanging out, but I'm just going to take the day because it doesn't seem like the majority of you guys really, I feel like the majority of you guys just want to hang out with your families. So I get it and I respect it and I'm going to do the same. So I'll see you guys on Monday again, unless news breaks, but like usual, stay classy. Events up.